What are free and fair elections? Elections are a central feature of democracy. For elections to express the will of the electorate, they must be free and fair. Free means that all those entitled to vote have the right to be registered and to vote and must be free to make their choice. In South Africa, every citizen from the age of 18 is entitled to vote. An election is considered free when you can decide whether or not to vote and vote freely for the candidate or party of your choice without fear or intimidation. A free election is also one where you are confident that who you vote for remains your secret. Fair means that all registered political parties have an equal right to contest the elections, campaign for voter support, and hold meetings and rallies. This gives them a fair chance to convince voters to vote for them. A fair election is also one in which all voters have an equal opportunity to register, where all votes are counted, and where the announced results reflect the actual vote totals. To ensure that an election is free and fair, it must be run by an independent body that is not influenced by the current government. It is usually called an electoral commission. In South Africa, the Electoral Commission, also called the IEC, is mandated to fulfill this task. The IEC operates independently from government. It registers voters, manages and oversees the election day, counts the votes, and releases election results in line with the Electoral Act of 1996. To be trusted, it is necessary for the IEC to act in an open and transparent manner. It must publish the names of all registered voters, in other words, the voters' roll, and must announce election results to the public. Representatives of political parties and provincial IEC staff serve on provincial party liaison committees, PLC. PLCs monitor the conditions under which the election campaigns are conducted and identify and solve problems as soon as they arise. The Electoral Court has the power to review the correctness and procedural fairness of any decision taken by the IEC. Other people who have a special role to play in upholding free and fair elections in South Africa are election observers and party agents. Election observers are independent organizations or people from South Africa or the international community. Election observers are election watchdogs. They monitor the voting process at polling stations, the counting of votes, the compilation of results, and their announcement. In South Africa, political parties can send a maximum of 2 party agents to each polling station. Party agents are additional watchdogs to prevent fraud and cheating and to ensure the accuracy of election results provided by individual polling stations. Observers and party agents are not allowed to interfere with the election or watch voters marking their ballots. If observers and party agents do a good job, they can contribute greatly towards free and fair elections. Because there is so much at stake during elections, some individuals or groups may resort to unfair practices to improve their chances to win. It's important to guard against such electoral malpractice and fraud. This can occur at all 3 stages of an election. In the period before the election, it is very important that there is no tampering with voter registration. Political parties must also be able to campaign in any area that they choose. Everyone should be able to express their political opinion without fear or intimidation. On election day, fraud may occur in the form of bribery, voter intimidation, or the stuffing of ballot boxes with fake ballots. After the election, fraud can occur with the counting of votes or simply with the releasing of incorrect election results. Such unfair practices can lead to false election results that do not reflect the will of the people. This is not only a threat to the credibility and acceptance of elections by the wider public, but also a threat to democracy as a whole. We as voters also have a role to play in ensuring that elections are free and fair. There is a code of conduct that everyone must follow before, during, and after the elections. According to this code, it is illegal for anyone to prevent someone else from speaking to voters, interfere with the voter's right to secrecy, use language which promotes violence, intimidate candidates or voters, offer any reward for casting a vote for a party, remove or destroy posters of parties, bribe IEC officials, and prevent the IEC from doing its job. So what can you do if you detect electoral fraud and malpractice? If you have proof that the conduct of the election was not free or fair, you have the duty to report it. You can object to anything that happened during the elections that can affect the election results. As a voter, you can do this by submitting a complaint at the voting station. The person in charge of a voting station is called the presiding officer. He or she will deal with your complaint at the voting station while a counting officer manages objections during the vote counting and results phases. The presiding officer at the voting station will give you a form to fill in and must investigate your complaint. He or she is also responsible for providing you with written findings before the election results have been declared. If you are not happy with the decision, you can appeal to the Electoral Court within 3 days of the IEC's decision. A record must be kept of every complaint or objection. So remember, an election is free and fair when there is an equal opportunity for all people to register to vote, freedom for every registered voter to confidentially cast his or her vote, a fair process for all political parties to contest the elections, all votes are counted and the actual results are announced publicly, and an independent and trusted electoral commission which is supported by election observers and party agents to monitor the entire electoral process. And because we live in a democracy, it also means that you have the right to complain. Legal mechanisms are in place to safeguard your rights.